So at this point, Anne, I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to you, and you can go over your student details in Performance Matters.
Fantastic, Alexandra. Well, I have a bonus for you now, because not only are we going to look at student details today, but we are also going to look at some great ways to construct some nifty test items in Performance Matters that really will help students construct knowledge. So we've got a lot to share, and I'm just going to get started, and I will share this PowerPoint presentation so that at the end, when Alexandra sends out all the materials, she can send this out as well. So today we're going to take a tour. I do want to remind you that there are a variety of self-paced courses for Performance Matters in our PD catalog. These are courses you can do on your own time. They count towards the PD credits. There are 2 sections of Performance Matters test design and delivery, 2 sections of item writing, and 2 sections of dialogues with data. So make sure you check those out if you're trying to fill your bucket with PD hours. All right, so again, today we're going to tour the student portal and look at the student detail pages and all the great data that's available there. And what's wonderful about this is that the students have access to that same data in the student portal. So they have an app on the MCS app portal that will take them directly into Performance Matters and let them look at all the data about their learning as well. And then we're going to go over some different interactive test items. The ones I'm going to show you are samples. They are actually items that are created in the item banks that you can use, but you can also create your own interactive items if you want to with your materials. So let's get started. In case you didn't know, Performance Matters is our amazing new tool that allows you to create and deliver assessments, generate data reports, track interventions, and it also works in conjunction with Schoology, PowerSchool, and the Gradebook. So it's a fabulous tool, really a one-stop shop for all the things you need for assessments. So let's take a look at this is not supposed to be creating a test. Hold on a second. What happened to my student details? Hold on just a minute. Something happened to my PowerPoint. Well, let me take a look at this. Okay, never mind. It's okay. All right. There we go. There was just a slide out of place. There we go. Okay, so let's talk about how students would log into the app portal so that they can see their data. First, the students would log into the MCS app portal. They'll have this little icon here that says Performance Matters Student, and then they will be able to see what happens, all of their data. So let's take a look. They'll get this picture. Normally, if they're going to take a test, they'd click on the blue line that says sign into student online testing, but for our purposes today, they'd want to look at this go to student portal, and parents can access this information as well via their student's device. So there are a couple different things to look at, and I've blurred out the personal information so that we don't expose anyone. But right here in this section under the red, it says use the tabs above to review different assessment types. So you can see that there is an overall student detail tab, common assessments results, state assessment results, and other additional results, which would be things that you might have created in Schoology yourself and given there. And so those results would be there. You can also see the student's schedule, gender, ethnicity, date of birth, and contact info from this page. The student's grades will be right here, and then below are all the discipline events that may have happened with the student, and also the attendance records of the student. So there's a lot just on this very front screen to dig into. Now, let's look at some of the different tabs that are available. First, you've got your common test results, and those would be things that you've given through Performance Matters in Schoology or indirectly in Performance Matters. So those are our benchmarks, our readiness screeners, those kinds of things. SWON test data will not be in here because the SWON testing is done in its own portal through the SWON app. Same with Dibbles, that data would not be in common test results because that is not given through Performance Matters or Schoology. So these are only things that are built in Performance Matters and delivered via Schoology. The state test results is going to include all the historical state testing data for the student. So that's, you can see that this is a high school student. They have several years of data, and the colors, blue is the best, and then green, and then yellow and red. So you can tell by the colors what band they're scoring in as above average, average, etc. Then on the additional results page, you're going to see all the imported measures. So you can see here we had to import the interim assessment score for the student because they don't take interim assessments in Performance Matters. So when that's imported, it gives you the scale score, and then again those colored results, near benchmark, approaching benchmark, meeting benchmark, or exceeding benchmark. All right. And then you can also see PSAT scores because those are imported results. And then we have our early warning indicators. So early warning indicators are things, clues that this student may be having trouble in certain areas. I'm going to go live very quickly and just show you what this looks like from a teacher's perspective. Now I'm impersonating a middle school teacher who is a social studies teacher. And I want to draw your attention right here to these, what we're going to call jelly beans. So if we click on the jelly beans, we can filter our students. So if we want to look at all the students, we click on the black jelly bean. If we want to look at students with disabilities, and you see when you hover, it'll tell you what they are, you can filter just to see your students with disabilities. If you want to look at your English learners, you can select that and deselect the students with disabilities. Now these are all the English learners or limited English proficiency students. ED is the free or reduced lunch students. And then EWS are students with that early warning indicator. So a lot of the students have the early warning indicators because they moved from MVA back to in-person school, and so that created a flag for them. One of the other really great features is that you can look at the test results right here. So if you look underneath this student, you can see he took all of his constitution tests portions right here, and you can see how he did 100%, 100%, and then 67, right? You can also toggle this off up here where it says tests, and you can turn that button off and hide it, and it will just show you the standards that have been met, the number of standards, and how he's done on each standard. So that's very easy. You can turn those tests on or off. You can also select tests from this select test drop-down menu and say we want to see how everyone did on the Bill of Rights test. This will give us some data right here. So almost all the students in the school and the district and in this classroom all met that standard, which is fantastic. You can expand this. I'm sure you all have gotten very familiar with this through data dives, but you can filter for the students who see how many students didn't do well by coloring in the swatches. So if you want to see what percentage did not meet the standard, 13% did not meet the standard because the red box is filled in. You can also hover over the standard to learn more about it. If you aren't sure, you haven't memorized all your standards yet, you can look at them right here. If you wanted to look for a certain student, you can search here by their name or their student ID number. Just type it right in, and that'll pull that up. Now, obviously, I showed you that the students would see this data by going in through the student portal. When the students go in through the student portal, they will not see this view with all of the students. This would be the teacher's view. If a student went in, say the student right here went in through the student portal, all she would see is this information here. Great question. I see that there's a question about ELPAC results. Are those in here? Yes, those are. Those would be here under test results. And then again, since it's a state test, they should be here under the state tests, or possibly here under additional scores, which would be an imported. Let's see if we can type in ELPAC here. You can always search. Those are not there. Let's see. So those may not be there for a variety of reasons. We may not have those. They would be available in the score in the reporting portion. So that's a little bit different than what we're doing here today, but I can show you in just a moment how to get to those ELPAC scores. But also, in addition to test results, you can see that you can look at the standards that the student has met. And this will tell you how they're doing in ELA and social studies. And you can, again, hover and it will, well, it was supposed to be updated, but it's not updated quite yet. They are rolling out a feature that will allow you to hover over the standard to tell you what that standard stands for. There it is. You just have to be very careful with your hovering. So you can see the standard means determine the words, the meanings of words and phrases as used in a text, and the student is approaching standards there. So that is the student detail page. You can also have this is called the progress monitoring plan, and teachers can set those up for students by adding new, and this might be if you're monitoring a student's behavior or their ability to turn their homework in. You can make a plan and track it, and since this student is in 7th grade or 8th grade, they have a variety of different teachers, and since they have a variety of different teachers, all the teachers would be able to see the PMP. Let's see. Here's state. Show all scores. And additional scores. No, I don't see the ELPAC information here. Let's see. Here's the common assessments. There's a variety of different pages. So far, I'm not seeing the ELPAC data. State seal of civic engagement. Let's look through these pages and see if we have any ELPAC scores. No, I don't see any ELPAC scores, but look, here we go. There are some quizzes that the student was given through Schoology, and you can see those scores here. And the interim assessments that were imported, you can see those scores here. You can also filter depending on the kind of things you want to see. All right. So that is the for the student detail page in a nutshell. And then if you wanted to look at, make a report and see the students' ELPAC scores, you could go to baseball card report. Look at the other imported measures. Here's the ELPAC scores. And then you could see the scores, overall scale scores here for your students. And that'll give you your scores. And this will give you the colors. Oops, I applied too many swatchings. There we go. So that's how you can see the ELPAC scores. And then whenever you're in Performance Matters, you can always click back here to home, and that will take you back to your students. Are there any questions about that?
It doesn't look like any questions came in that I'm seeing
Okay.
in.
All right, fantastic. So let's move on. Let me go back to the PowerPoint, and I'm going to show you the test questions that you can build. So let's talk about them. There's a variety of different test questions that you can build in Performance Matters. And you're probably familiar with, true and false, multiple choice. There are graphing questions you can use if you're teaching math. But today I wanted to focus on the interactive items because those are for the knowledge constructor ITSD standard. So there are about 5 of them I want to go over. There is the hot text. And so in the hot text items, students will select phrases that answer the question by clicking on a phrase. So it's like a multiple choice test, except that they actually have to click on the whole item. There is a hotspot, and that's when different areas of an image are highlighted, and students will select the correct answer or answers in the image. There's a drawing type where students will draw their own image or add to an existing image using some drawing tools. There's a graphic gap match where students drag answers into a graphic organizer. And there's also upload interaction where you can ask students to create something and then upload it directly there. So let's take a look at what these look like. And I just have some screenshots and then I'm going to show you them live in a test I built. So here's a hot text. So you can see all of these different sentences would answer this question. One of these is the correct one. The student just has to click on that and it will move on to the next question. This is what a hotspot question would look like, where you would click in the circles to determine, for example, which parts of a human skeleton would be located in the skeleton of a dog. You know that a dog has a head, it has a spine, and it has legs, so you would click those 3 hotspots. You can draw. So for here the prompt says draw a diagram that shows how it's possible to see an object. Include the path that light takes from a light source to the object and then to your eye. And the students can choose the size of the pen, they can clear, and they can choose the different colors to use. This is a graphic gap match. So you can see that there are different sentences here, and they need to choose the sentence that matches each one of these people and drag it into this little space next to the person. And then upload interaction. This is a really hard slide to see, so I'm just going to expand on it a little bit. So for upload interaction, they typically have given the student a lot of information to think about. And then here is the direction for the question. Develop a model that illustrates Earth's internal surface process that cycle, matter, and transfer heat. Use labels to explain how temperature, density, and gravity affect the materials and processes. Use arrows to show the direction of motion. So the student would draw their own picture or diagram or use digital drawing tools and then would upload that file right here. So this is a really great way to give students some creativity, but still administer a test through the digital platform. So right now I want you to think about, as I show you these different items, I'm going to show you a test and I want to see, we don't have a poll today, but I'm going to show you the test and you can tell me if you know what kind of, what type of item it is. So I've added my test here to my Schoology course. Always you go to add materials, add common assessment, and then once you've added it, you publish it, right? Using the gear to publish. Now that it's published, I can click on it and see what it's going to look like. So let's take a tour. Here's our test with its 5 questions. All right, and a new feature now, we'll talk about that later. All right, so here we go. Let's take a look. So it's time for science class. Your teacher gives you and your partner a scale and some weights. All right, your assignment today is to put as many weights as you can and keep each side level. They're all the same size, but not the same weight. All right, and so now they want you to draw a picture of the scale if you took one weight off the left side. So you might draw something that looks like this, and then you would put your weights on here. 1 weight, 2 weight, 3 weights, right? And 1, 2, 3. Oops. See, now I made a mistake because I'm supposed to take 1 off the left side. So since I made a mistake, I can clear it and try again. So we've got 1 on this side and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on that side. And then we'd submit. We go to our next item. All right. So now it wants us to match the product to the region where it's produced. Let's see. So citrus, I think citrus is going to be down here because I think salmon comes from way up here and vegetables come from here. All right. That's why we have Orange County down here, because of the oranges. Now, all right, here is our upload. Create and upload a map of the triangular trade routes linking Africa, the West Indies, and the British colonies in Europe. So obviously here, the student will draw a picture, they'll browse their Chromebook, find the file, and add it up here with their document. This question wants you to determine, based on the kinetic energy of this item, where will the block be located if this hits it? So is it going to be this picture or this one or this one? You have to choose the correct item. And then here is our hot text item. You can see that it really looks just like a multiple choice, except that you have to click and highlight the correct definition for stock as used in a sentence. So she invested money in an up-and-coming tech company, and she hopes to see an increase of income in her future. So is this goods at a store? No. Is it farm animals? No. Is it a stockpile, goods in your home? No. It is shares in a company. And that's it. And then you'd submit, oops. And then you'd submit the test. And there you go. And it'd be done. So that is the overview for today of Performance Matters. And if you've got any questions, please drop them in the Q&A. We also have a Performance Matters playlist on the EdTech YouTube channel. And we have some new videos in the News and Assignments tab that is on your dashboard. That is it from me. Don't forget to take your self-paced PD and get all those PD points. I'm going to turn it back over to Alexandra.
Thank you, Anne. Before you go, there was one question here of the ELPAC scores. Can they be added to the state?
We are going to be working on that. We didn't have a lot of that data to upload at the end of last year, so we're going to be working on uploading that and adding that to the state tab.
Perfect, thank you. It looks like you're working on a reply to that post too. All right.